Welcome to The Explainer. So today, we're taking a wild ride into one of the most explosive, fast-paced, and honestly just raw musical movements happening anywhere right now. We're decoding the massive renaissance of Philadelphia hip-hop, and we're looking at it strictly through the lens of Philly drill. You know, if you really want to understand this incredibly gritty sound that is completely taking over playlists everywhere, you can't just look at the artists in a vacuum. You literally have to look at the concrete they stand on. So we're going to group these artists by their home neighborhoods to figure out the actual ecosystem of this sound. Let's get into it.
To really set the stage here, take a look at this quote from our source material. A place where the concrete tells more stories than the news ever could. Man, that just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? It perfectly captures the vibe we're exploring today. This music isn't manufactured in some sterile studio somewhere. It's a direct, totally unfiltered reflection of the streets of the city of brotherly love. It's serious, it's visceral, and the city's environment itself is what breeds this highly specific music.
Here's our roadmap for today's explainer. We're going to decode 20 of the artists defining the scene by taking a geographical tour, basically block by block. We'll start up in North Philly with scam rap, head over to West Philly for pain and switchies, cruise down to South Philly for the bop, and finally explore Kensington and the outer edges of the city map.
All right, first stop on the tour, North Philly, scam rap and supergroups. Okay, so a absolutely crucial concept for understanding North Philly is scam rap. And the undisputed king of this style, that's OT7 Kwani. Get this. Instead of coming in screaming over the mic, Kwani uses this laid-back, almost whispering delivery. And it's kind of ironic, but that quiet confidence actually makes his gritty lyrics and themes about hustling hit so much harder.
But it's not just a solo act out here. The wider North Philly ecosystem is practically defined by these powerful, colliding sets. You've got Poundside Pop from the Zoo Gang, right? He's famous not just for his hits, but for that highly public, super rebellious social media beef with Meek Mill. Then, look at G12 Za and NSU Shido. When they link up with artists like Lil Muck, they basically form this incredible North Philly supergroup. Their whole claim to fame is this gritty, hyper-consistent storytelling about their specific blocks.
Nah, North Philly isn't just about that gritty whispering. Look at Za Sosa. He was an early leader who introduced something called the Philly Bop. He basically took that heavy drill foundation and mixed it up with highly danceable beats and catchy phrases. It's like a total game changer that adds a completely different dimension to the North Philly sound.
Okay, so watch how this sound totally flips as we cross city lines. We are leaving those laid-back, whispering flows of North Philly in the rearview mirror and heading straight into some seriously explosive, aggressive energy.
Welcome to West Philly. This is where the tempo speeds up drastically, and we get into pain and switchies.
Right off the bat, we have to talk about pain music. This style is championed by West Philly's own Leaf Ward, who a lot of people consider to be one of the absolute best lyricists in the entire city. Instead of just rapping about hype or partying, his music is this raw, heavy look at the harsh struggles of street life. It's incredibly grounded and deeply lyrical.
And the roster in West Philly, it is packed and so diverse. You've got Lil Bucks, a true pioneer of the modern Philly drill sound. He's the guy known for those aggressive rapid-fire switchy flows and lightning-fast delivery. But then on the complete opposite side of the spectrum, you have Turi. He brings the soul to the scene, balancing out all that intense drill energy with these amazingly smooth melodic hooks. Oh, and you can't forget D4M Sloan, who is keeping the D4M movement alive by perfectly blending high-energy Philly club music with drill. The sheer range in just West Philly alone is staggering.
But listen, you literally cannot talk about West Philly without talking about YBC, the Young Bag Chasers. This collective completely dominated the scene from 2024 to 2026. You've got YBC Dull as the face of the movement, heavily involved in controversial diss tracks and street rivalries. Meanwhile, FS the Bender came in with this incredibly menacing, dark architectural sound for their tracks. And then Hop Out Blick injected this high-intensity, high-speed style. They are the perfect example of how one single neighborhood collective can completely dictate the sound of an entire era in the city.
Let's shift gears and cruise down to South Philly, where the drill scene gets a highly melodic, street gospel twist with the bop. South Philly operates on a totally different frequency. You have heavyweights like Simex Santana. He is a massive figure here. He literally put Philly drill on the national map when his track Flexin' and Flashing went absolutely viral. And a big reason for that is because he introduced this melodic bop element to that heavy drill bass. Then there's Troglizzy, bringing what they call street gospel, just a completely raw, unfiltered look at reality.
And I love this next example, because it brilliantly illustrates how South Philly artists connect with their fans. Hood-famous Jay took a hyper-local, everyday cultural staple, I'm talking about a Wawa convenience store cup, and turned it into a massive viral anthem. It just proves that leaning into the ultra-specific culture of your own neighborhood can actually create the most relatable hits. And those hits, they eventually work their way right into mainstream rap playlists all across the country.
Finally, we're heading to Kensington and the outskirts of the city, zombies and TikTok crossovers.
Out here, things get pretty extreme. You run into the Zombieland aesthetic. This belongs to Scrilla, an artist from Kensington. It is this completely unique, high-energy, and just deeply raw musical style native to those specific streets. His 2026 album, Life or Death, perfectly captures this underground, gritty energy that you just won't find anywhere in North or South Philly.
And if we look out toward the edges of the city, the borders of this movement are really expanding. Up in Northwest Philly and Mount Airy, you have Hood Tolly, a pretty polarizing guy who helped popularize those rapid-fire flows with his Mr. Switchy persona. Down in Southwest Philly, there's a 100K track, acting as this crucial bridge connecting local Philly talent to massive national stars. And then, representing the ultimate mainstream expansion, you have Lay Banks.
When you actually step back and look at the city as a whole, the contrast is mind-blowing. On one hand, you have Scrilla bringing pure, gritty, underground Kensington street rap. And then, bred from that exact same city ecosystem, you have Lay Banks, the viral queen of Philly who successfully bridged the gap between Philly club drill and massive global TikTok stardom. It absolutely proves how versatile and far-reaching this city's talent pool really is, and how it directly feeds into the major mainstream playlists you listen to every day.
All right, the heartbeat of the Hood, Philly's next chapter.
So as we wrap up this explainer, we really have to remember one thing. The Philly scene moves at lightning speed. New names pop up literally every single day. But these concrete neighborhoods, north, west, south, and the outskirts, they remain the absolute foundation of the sound. So I want to leave you with this question. Based on all the distinct styles we've explored today, which neighborhood do you think is going to dictate the future sound of hip-hop on a national scale? Will it be the whispering scams of the north, the aggressive pain of the west, the melodic bop of the south, or the raw extremes of the outskirts? Thanks so much for joining me on this tour of Philly Drill. Keep exploring, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.